What is up, fishes and fishettes? This is Eric over at Fish Poker, giving you one more video of this fish playing some shitty poker. Now, we're getting ready to head out to Long Beach, where we're gonna go ahead and play a cash game. I'm really excited about this game because it's the first time I've played cash since I've been back from Vegas. So hopefully we get our winning streak going. So it's gonna be a $50 minimum buy-in with a $100 maximum buy-in. Our blinds are going to be 50 cents and $1 with a degenerate straddle option. And what that means is if you're on the button, you have the option to straddle. And if you do straddle on the button, then small blind is action first, and then big blind, and so on and so forth. But if you're on the button and you don't want to straddle, then that option is going to get to the under the gun player. Now, I know there's a proper term for it. I think it's like Mississippi straddle or Cincinnati straddle or North Dakota straddle. I'm not 100% sure, but if you know, let me know by leaving a comment. That way I know, you know. We're also gonna go ahead and do this thing called poker roulette, where if the flop comes and it's all one solid color, either black or red, the next dealer goes ahead and chooses a game, and they have an option of choosing PLO, they can choose Big O, they can choose Pineapple, Crazy Pineapple, or they can just stick to regular Hold'em. We're also gonna have an hourly high hand. So every pot gets 50 cents taken out, and if the pot is $10 or more, then we get $1 out of that pot, putting in a little jar, and whoever has the highest hand at the end of that hour takes that little jar. It's not a lot, it's like 15 to 20 bucks, but it's a cool little gimmick. People lose a lot of value on their hands because in order to win that pot, you need to go all the way down to showdown, and people have full houses or flushes and they're checking it all the way. That way they can go ahead and win that pot. It's cute. People lose value, but you know, whatever. It's fun. But enough about that. Let's get to it. Let's get on our way, and I'll see you guys later. Now, I live in the greater LA area, where anywhere you turn your head, there's a great piece of artwork. And what I just showed you guys there are some of my favorite art pieces out here in LA. But I think my very, 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 very favorite one is the last one, the Tony Curtis one, because when you look at it from far away, there's nothing out of the ordinary. But as soon as you get close to it, you can see that the artist went ahead and he made that picture look depixelized. He went ahead and he colored every little square a different color to make that image of Tony Curtis, which I think is freaking amazing. But enough about that. We're here to talk about poker, so let's get started. So we get this game started off with 50 big blinds, and right off the bat, we are completely card dead. One bad hand after another bad hand after another bad hand, when finally the poker gods decide to throw us a bone with this 7 deuce. Not only is it 7 deuce, guys, this is 7 deuce suited. We are heads up to a flop, and flop comes and it's 8, 9, 6. Not only do we flop a flush draw, but we also flop an open-ended straight draw. Our opponent in the small blind goes ahead and fires off a $2 bet, which I go ahead and gladly call. Maybe I should have raised, but I don't know. Turn comes and it's a queen. Our opponent goes ahead and reaches for chips and fires off a $5 bet, which I go ahead and gladly call as well. The river comes and it's a complete brick for us. We go ahead and miss out on all of our 180 outs that we had, and our opponent goes ahead and fires off $20. I don't believe him. I contemplate on re-raising him, but not only do I not have the chip stack to do it, I also don't have the testiculars. A few orbits around, I look down at 6, 7 suited. Not only do I love this hand, but I'm also in position, so I bump it up to $3, and our opponent in the small blind calls, our opponent in the big blind calls, and our opponent under the gun calls, and we are 4 ways to a flop. The flop comes and it's 5 ace 3. We flop a measly gut shot, but other than that, that's absolutely no help to us, but it does get checked around to us, and we are the original raiser. So we go ahead and fire off a continuation bet of 450. Our opponent in the small blind folds, our opponent in the big blind folds, and our opponent in the under the gun position goes on and folds as well. As the night continues to go on, we go ahead and pick up another bad cycle of bad cards. That is, of course, up until we go ahead and pick up pocket nines and we go ahead and raise it up to 450. Our opponent in the cutoff position go ahead and makes the call, and our opponent in the big blind goes ahead and makes the call as well, and we are now 3 ways to a flop. The flop comes and it's 9, 3, 10. And I know you guys can't see this, but there's vomit on my sweater already from my mom's spaghetti. I'm nervous, but on the outside I look calm and ready, and I go ahead and fire off a $6 bet. Our opponent in the cutoff goes ahead and calls our $6, and our opponent in the big blind goes ahead and lays it down. The turn comes and it's a 4. Now there's 2 straights on board to go along with the flush draw on board, and I'm not about to let my opponent go ahead and get there for a cheap price, so I go ahead and fire off $11, which he goes ahead and he folds face up, showing ace king, no ace or king on the river, and we go ahead and take this pot. In this hand, I'm on the big blind, and our opponent in the +1 goes ahead and raises it up to 2. Our opponent in the button calls, and our opponent in the small blind calls, and I go ahead and make the call as well. And we are 4 ways to a flop. Flop comes and it's 8, 5, 3. Small blind goes ahead and checks. I check. Original razor checks, and the person in the button goes ahead and checks as well. And we ought to see a turn, which is a queen. Our small blind opponent goes ahead and checks as well. I get a little froggy and put out a $6 bet. The original razor folds. Our opponent in the button goes ahead and makes the call, and our opponent in the small blind folds as well. The river comes and it's another 5. My dumbass goes ahead and reaches for chips and bets out $12, hoping that our opponent folds, but our opponent doesn't even fold her laundry. So she makes the call, turns over queen jack, and we lose a pretty big pot for absolutely no freaking reason. Even though I'm still a little bit tilted from the previous hands because of my fish tendencies, that doesn't stop me from raising it up to $6 when I look down at pocket 10s. Our opponent on the cutoff goes ahead and calls our $6, and our opponent in the big blind goes ahead and calls our $6 as well, and we go 3 ways to a flop. The flop comes and it's ace, 6, 9. And before we could do anything else, our opponent in the big blind goes ahead and shoves all in for about $30. My fish senses are going crazy, telling me to call, because if she did hit something, I would think she would want value and not scare 2 opponents away. But there is an ace out there, and I'm not about to go ahead and give up any more money, so I lay it down, and our opponent in the cutoff also folds face up, exposing pocket 5s. Now, what did she go ahead and shove with? She had a set of aces on the flop, which I'm glad she shoved, because if she would have just checked and let the original razor, which was me, go ahead and do some more betting, she would have gotten more value off her hand. With about $20 left behind, I look down at ace jack offsuit into under the gun position. I go ahead and bump it up to $3.50, and our only caller is the small blind. We go heads up to a flop, which is ace king 6. We go ahead and flop top pair with a decent kicker, and we fire off a continuation bet of $6, which our opponent goes ahead and calls. The turn comes and it's a deuce. Our opponent goes ahead and checks, we check back, and we see a free river. The river's another deuce, which I figured it was a bad card, because if she's holding an ace, now we're chopping. But anyway, she goes ahead and shoves all in, and I go ahead and call thinking we're gonna chop, and no, we do not chop. She went ahead and she flopped 2 pair, and we lose it all. We go ahead and reload for another $50, and of course, we continue to be card dead. There's only about an hour left in the game, and we keep getting shitty cards after shitty cards after shitty cards. But that's okay. Our buddy Heather went ahead and became the big winner of that night. She took home over $400 profit, so congratulations to her. Can this fish keep his winning streak? The answer is no, he cannot. I only lost $50 though. Sorry I wasn't able to take a win for you guys, but at least I had fun. I had a great time. And well, that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Please do not hesitate and hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And well, till next time guys, I'll see you guys later.